I kind of want to see what this is. So let's get to the beginning of this and look at what Pokey said.
I don't think this is me trying to instigate, but it is pretty meta, especially on YouTube now.
So notice what he says. It's pretty meta, right? Not that it is the meta or the only path to success. Metas and meta games, especially in League of Legends, in fighting games, in any competitive game, have multiple strategies that lead to success.
To just farm hate for Hoyoverse. Alright? It doesn't really matter if you upload content that is related to the game, but it is meta itself to just say Hoyo equals bad and then you get like a shit ton of views. It is simply the meta. So, yeah.
Obviously, I think he's exaggerating and he's not 100% correct on that. It's not just on Hoyo, and there's an execution involved, but I'm pretty sure that's like, we can take that for granted. That is what he would mean.
It is what it is. Like this game, for example, HSR, it could be made by Capcom, it could be made by Nintendo, it could be made by Kuro Games. Doesn't really matter. But because this game has Hoyo on it, it is meta AF to hate it. Right? The whole power creep and all that kind of stuff.
That's an interesting thought. Yes, for sure. That definitely has a lot to do with it, right? Because the whole criticism about Hoyoverse and Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail is like, where's the money going? This game has so much revenue. It's making so much money in profit. It is making so much. Why aren't they reinvesting and putting that money back into the game and improving? Well, the real answer is that's just not how any business works ever. Only Mr. Beast is the type of person who takes all of his revenue and profits from one video and puts it into his next project. That's like literally only Mr. Beast, right? But pretty much every other business scales up their level of investment from wherever their initial investment is, whether it's incrementally or they, I don't know, exponentially. They scale up from the initial investment regardless of the revenue, right? A lot of them will do that, and especially a company like Hoyoverse will do that because their way and path to success is by having a lot of good, viable products in this anime gacha space. That's why we have Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, now Zenless Zone Zero, because they think there is more power in numbers, in spreading yourself out and diversifying essentially your investments. So yes, money that comes from Genshin went to Honkai. Money that came from Honkai went into Zenless, probably combined. But that is why, and it is a basis of a lot of critiques. I think personally, it's a silly critique because it's just, it's not, you're never going to force them to change unless you quit, but you can't quit because you're addicted, or at least a lot of you guys are. Now, that being said, right, even if you look at Honkai Star Rail in a vacuum, because Honkai Star Rail does very well, this criticism would still apply to Honkai Star Rail in and of itself. But if it was a different gaming company, you get into this kind of hypothetical, like, okay, does the gaming company have the same strategy as Hoyoverse and they're using the revenue and profit to invest and create a different IP? Or are they just sitting on their money, right? Or are they like reinvesting it back into Honkai Star Rail, right? It's like, if they're going to do the same thing as Hoyoverse, then they might as well just be Hoyoverse and you'll get the same criticism as well. So it's not really because it's Hoyoverse. So I'll retake and restate my thought is that it's not that it's because it's made by Hoyoverse. The more granular take is that it's because Honkai Star Rail has so much success, and that success is not seen to match rate of improvement. Because people expect these live service games, for whatever reason, to improve by leaps and bounds. And I think probably the biggest example of games that do that is possibly Fortnite, right? But I also think that Fortnite had way different market conditions than Hoyoverse, Genshin Impact, or Honkai Star Rail, right? The reason why is because the Battle Royale meta, Fortnite was a latecomer, so it was already having to deal with a lot of different sort of competitors for their market share, right? Obviously, they're trying to steal and take away from other IPs. So it's a totally different story. When that becomes ingrained into your production cycle and into your culture, then yeah, I think it's more likely that you continue that rate of improvement, and for that rate of improvement to be a standard that the community sees. the problem with Hoyoverse, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, the problem with these games is that there is no standard for rate of improvement. The way Hoyo sees it is that we're the top of the game, we're the leaders of this market, and we are continuing to be. We're not losing players, so there's not really a lot of incentive or point to reinvest our revenue back into our product because people are going to buy the product anyway, and we're going to keep making a buttload of money, right? There's not a lot of reason for them to push and to overextend and overinvest in themselves because at the end of the day, the gacha gamers will never hold them accountable.
It is just because it is the name is slapped on, you get like the hate plus 20. It's like the frenzy virus. You get the additional frenzy virus on top of it, right? Maybe it could have still been under some scrutiny because of the FOMO and everything, but it probably won't be as bad. It probably won't be as bad.
He's right. He's not 100% right. He's only partially right, though, because it's not necessarily because it's Hoyo. It's because Honkai Star Rail has so much proven success. All right, let's see this. I have enough of gacha politics. Apparently, I'm getting canceled again for saying hating Hoyo is meta. Context, I was talking about why there's an upsurge of viewership, especially on YouTube, when it comes to gacha dramas. This was a 5-minute discussion out of a 6-hour stream where I played Honkai Star Rail and chilled. I mean, I don't think that matters. There's no agenda I'm trying to paint here, or whether it's Hoyo good or Hoyo bad, or whether they deserve it. It ain't that deep because I could care less what companies make the game I like. There you go. Okay, sure. I believe this 100%. I like a community that bonds over content on gameplay, not on setting an agenda against XYZ company who made the game. I do think MrPokke does play the jester a little bit and does dabble in drama pretty heavily. So I don't think he does obviously do a lot of gameplay content and a lot of gameplay focused content, but he entertains his stream. He is engaging with other gacha content creators. End of the day, life is too short to convince others what games they should love or hate, and I'm done playing gacha politics. Don't crash out on me. What we're going to do is we're going to watch Tectone's take on this situation.
So this is everything that he said. If anybody thinks I'm misconstruing anything,
this isn't me trying to instigate meta on YouTube to farm hate on Hoyoverse. It is meta to say Hoyo bad. You get a shit ton of views. If this game was made by anyone else, it'd be fine. Okay, yeah, that is exactly what he said. It is meta to say Hoyo equals bad. You get a shit ton of views. It is. Like, it is a legit strategy. Like in chess, there are a lot of different openers. Like in fighting games, there's a lot of different fighting game characters. There's a lot of tier S, tier 0 characters. And these characters don't always have the same strategy. That's what a meta game is a lot of different strategies and how they interact and interplay with each other. Meta on YouTube to farm hate on Hoyoverse. It is one of the metas, or a part of the meta game, right? It is a part of the meta game. It is a strategy in the meta game.
it is meta to say Hoyo equals bad. You get a shit ton of views. Okay, so this means that the meta for Hoyoverse content is to just shit on it. Now, let's talk about what meta is. Meta means that it is the top performing, most succeeding builds in every game.
I understand what he's saying. I just think that there's more to it, right? I feel like there are different meta games. There are different metas for people at different stages, right? And the meta, and that's all what meta game is. A meta game is a series of patterns of repeatable like success, right? Of proven track records of success. That's what a meta game is, right? Whatever is tier 0 on Street Fighter 6, their tier list, those characters are meta, right? All these different characters, they all have different strategies, right? All the people on this tier list or whatever, I assumingly, I'm not an expert, but all these characters are meta and they play differently, right? There are different strategies and certain characters in this game, in the game of League of Legends, some of them are more beginner friendly. Some of them are more catered towards experts or require a higher level of execution. So it's just like that with YouTube. It is entirely like that with YouTube, that there are different strategies, different metas to employ at different stages of your career in YouTube, and also that are going to work more for different people, right? Like Doro is not going to do very well shitting on Hoyo, but Saint Tontas would never have this level of success if he was praising Honkai Star Rail or Genshin Impact as much as he praises Wuthering Waves. It just won't. This is a very strong narrative. This is a very strong story. This is a very good strategy. And not to say, again, that he doesn't feel this. Obviously, he does. That's why he resonates well. That's the only thing about the thing about Saint Tontas that I've always said is that he's very honest about how he feels about Wuthering Waves. And that is going to carry him to a lot of success. There's never just one path to success. If we're going to take, I would argue that Tectone's definition of what meta is not applicable, or rather that it depends on the context, right? It depends on the context. If praising Hoyo was meta, the best strategy, the best teams, the best characters, whatever, if that's the meta, then why do any other YouTubers exist? What is Asmongold doing? He's not playing Hoyoverse, right? He's obviously one of the biggest creators in this space, right? Politics is the meta. But that's the thing, right? It's all about context. It's all about scope, right? We're talking about different things. And if the context and scope is talking about commentary YouTubers that are trying to engage and create and build a community and build an audience, then praising Hoyo is not the meta.
This is not made about MrPokke. This is about everybody who's ever said that. I would like to just address it firmly, and I would encourage anybody to react to this if they haven't already, because this is the type of bullshit that is, number one, another huge issue, going to, chat, what do you think this enables? What issue in the Hoyoverse community do you think this is going to perpetuate?
I don't think that matters. Obviously, this is a total opinionated, this is a subjective value judgment, but I don't think that matters. I feel like what matters and what prevails overall in terms of what is right is honesty and authenticity.
Excellent job. Toxic fucking positivity. Right on time. And I'm proud of you guys for acknowledging that and understanding that immediately.
We can't say that acknowledging one extreme is bad because of fear that it would enable the other extreme, right? The takeaway from that is that both extremes are bad, but not that one side doesn't exist or that you shouldn't acknowledge it.
There are creators right now who are going to quit YouTube, quit all of their Hoyoverse gacha game tenure that they have built up because the state of the games are so fucking bad. Genshin is worse than it has ever been. Hoyoverse's business practices for Honkai Star Rail are more predatory than anything we've ever seen in even non-Hoyo games. It's bad. And there's a massive grain of salt for anybody hoping that Zenless Zone Zero will be any different if it's made by the same company. Gacha Smack is quitting. I'm thinking about stopping playing Honkai Star Rail. And if the Castor's changes go through, I will not be playing Honkai Star Rail. Do you think that's going to benefit me? No. It's going to take away a facet of my revenue. It's going to limit the amount of content that I can do. It's going.
Whatever is able to push and promote your brand is always positive. And Tectone builds his brand on being honest and authentic about his experience with gacha games. The more you lean into a niche, the more you lean into a game, the less room there is for your personality as a brand to sort of shine through. And the more tied you are to that one brand. So there's like, it's a much more intricate. It's not like, oh, you could say like, oh, it's a net positive or net negative, right? I would argue it's a net positive. But either way, it's that you can't just break it down into very simple calculations like that. You have to say like, there's a cost. If you're being very positive and disingenuous about it, about a gacha game, it would come at the cost of your brand, your personality as a brand.
Going to make other people go to other creators that are more positive to hear how they feel about these updates. Obviously, it's not a good thing. But the thing is, I don't have it in me to go live and lie to people. I don't. I never have. I never will. I go live and I tell the fucking truth. I don't sugar.
And that's why his brand is very strong, right? His brand is very strong because he is seen as authentic. And I agree. I do think that he's always giving his honest takes about a gacha game, unless he's sponsored, of course. But I mean, obviously, You always play that up if you're sponsored.
There are far too many people going live on this platform, even still to today, talking out their fucking ass and their chat agreeing with them. Once again, this isn't about MrPokke. It's about what his...
I mean, I'm making a video here on YouTube. I'm not even streaming anymore. So let me know if I'm wrong, I guess.
Now, I would like to open this up in my chat. Anybody think that I'm wrong? Anybody want to point out any error in my logic? Because I know other chats, if they watch this video, there will be some people going like, oh, he's so dumb. But there won't be anybody saying he's wrong because of this. Nopers? Cool. Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's not the way I'm going to say that either. Like, obviously, based off his own definition of what meta is being the best strategy, obviously MrPokke is wrong. But I don't think it's meta. I don't think saying something is meta necessarily says it's the best strategy, but it is a strategy. It is employable. It is proven to work and proven to succeed. You could look at League of Legends tier list. You could look at tactics.tools. All of these different comps, right, that take into account different traits and different attributes, right? You could look at Street Fighter, who's tier 0, who's a tier 1 character in Street Fighter, Tekken, whatever. Like, metagame strategies, metas are encompass a family, a group of strategies that are proven to succeed. And they also apply differently depending on the player's skill level. Like, I believe like the blue circles and the red circles. Blue means easy for newer players, and red means very, very complicated and very hard, right? Like, they suit different people with different tendencies, right? So it's it applies differently. There's a different metagame for anyone. And I would never tell a beginner like, oh my god, Irelia's god tier mid lane. You should play Irelia. If you're new to the game, you should play Irelia. Just lock it in. Don't give a fuck about whatever the fuck your team is playing. I think there's draft pick anyway, or draft queues. But either way, right? What I'm trying to say is like a new player wouldn't have a great level of success trying to force mid as Irelia, right? They would have a much easier time forcing mid with Akshan, right?
But there is a prominent surge in negative videos with a large amount of smaller creators. That could be perceived as a meta switch.
There you go.
Your algorithm is what you build it to be. If you're seeing a lot of negativity,
Yeah.
it's because you've went and sought for it. The emphasis is smaller creators.
Yes, that is true, but there's a lot of people that are seeking it, right? There's a lot of people that are seeking it. That's the whole point. The whole point is that there are a lot of people who do seek that content. And so this niche is very lively. It is very vibrant and, ripe for the picking.
Smaller creators' videos won't be pushed into your algorithm unless you were the one seeking it out. So if that is what is on your YouTube, that's your own fault. But there's a reason why you said smaller creators having that and not larger creators, because there are no larger creators doing that. Mojo OG, pull them up.
Sure. Yeah, that's 100% true.
Okay, what's good, man?
Well, I mean, I would say Tectone is usually very negative and critical of Hoyoverse, okay? Like, come on. If I go to Tectone's channel right now, let's just be honest, okay? If I go to Tectone's channel right now, Honkai Star Rail is an insult to turn-based games. If I just like, okay, let's just zoom out. We have 1. This is critical of Hoyoverse. We have 3, right? We have 4. We have 5. We have 6. And the state of gacha games, probably 7. It's a very meta commentary, but it is a commentary about this anime gacha space. We have 7, right? Out of these, 16 videos, it's nearly half his videos. And if I scroll down, there's plenty more, right? There's ZZZ, Honkai, Genshin, Casters. I'm not cherry picking, right? I'm not cherry picking. There are obviously videos that are not Genshin related, but it's like roughly, I would say 45% of his content. And that's pretty significant. That's a big chunk of your content. And that's where you've built your brand and your name off of. I mean, let's be honest.
What's good? I made a point before about needing to look at new CCs coming into the space and the content they're making for attraction, since it's mostly negative, but the biggest new CC who's actually positive one from your circle is MrPokke.
Yep.
True. And you know what's crazy? Out of all the newer CCs that I've helped grown, the one who's the most positive is the biggest. Do you think that's the coincidence? No, it's not.
That is a good point, right? And again, it supports his view of metagame being like the best strategy, for sure. But I do think that this strategy is alive. It is working for a lot of creators, and it does have like, yeah, it has traction, right? But obviously, it's not the best strategy. But like, what among these teams are the best? What among these characters are the best? Right? That's not what we're. That's I don't think that's what we're talking about. But you let me know.
Anyways, I'll leave it at that. Stop with this dumbass bullshit. If you're gonna say some shit, at least prove it. That's my video. I encourage anybody to react to this. See y'all later. Peace.
Okay. Well, hopefully this doesn't piss him off. Let me know what you guys think. I'd be very curious to understand what you guys think. Again, I don't welcome any Tectone bald Tectone, bad Tectone. Like I don't really care for that, those brain dead takes. But I feel like, you know, because I like Tectone, and I think he's usually very honest, usually very authentic, and I appreciate his take on the matter, and I totally understand why he would see it this way. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe. Bye.